So knockout chaos, the clue's in the title. Do you see that being the way it goes? Do you see a knockout between Joshua and Ngannou?
But they're both big punchers, and if somebody lands one of the bombs, that could well be the outcome of the fight. But they are big punchers, and they obviously, it's going to be quite interesting.
I mean, he did show us heavy hands, didn't he, Ngannou against Fury? The rumour was that he had them, but we just didn't know. So there were so many things we didn't know, but he caught Tyson on the top of the head and down he went.
I don't quite agree with that, Andy. I mean, for me, there weren't a rumour that he could punch. You only had to look at the UFC and you knew he could punch. He's a big banger. He's a big man and he could throw shots. And he showed that in the fight against Tyson. He caught Tyson on the top of the head and put him over. He's dangerous. There's no doubt about that. What surprised everybody was the fact that he could box a bit. You know, I never expected that at all. You know, when he came out, as soon as he shapes up in that first round, I thought, bloody hell. And then he started switching from orthodox to southpaw. I thought, bleed, now we're going to have a bit of a night on our hands here. And, you know, Tyson, to be quite honest, wasn't himself anyway that night. He had a good training camp, but he still wasn't himself. But this, Ngannou showed what he's all about, and he's a competitor. He comes from a fighting background. He's got a fighting heart, and he didn't give up. He was looking, for a guy who's had his, first fight in a boxing ring. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, I look at him and I thought, how would you like to have got hold of him when he was younger and turned him over as a professional boxer role in UFC? He'd have probably done something extra special. So the fact of the matter is now, he's out there. People have seen him. They know he can fight. AJ has the benefit of watching him in a boxing ring, whereas Tyson didn't have. So it's going to be quite interesting. And I think if he catches AJ, yeah, he could do some serious damage. There's no doubt about that.
What did you make of Joshua just before Christmas? There was a lot of pressure on him. Lots of people had lots to say about him, including his opponent in the build-up. What did you think of the performance?
I thought he'd done everything he had to do. Wallin, I expected a bit more out of Wallin, but then he can only do what he was allowed to do, and I think that AJ fought a sensible fight and done a job on him, and he came out of it looking quite well. And
good for the division, for the sport.
Yeah, I mean, for us, the Brits, it's better to be AJ there than Wallin, that's for sure.
So on to a bit of other business. After the weekend, we saw Artur Beterbiev just completely dismantle Callum Smith. Really, that's what happened.
Yeah.
It means that Anthony Yarde's performance ages well. He fancies a rematch. Is there any chance of that?
Well, he's there, Anthony, isn't he? I mean, Anthony didn't come out of that fight with a lot of credit. He gave Beterbiev, and I think everybody acknowledged that, including Beterbiev, his hardest fight he's had for a long, long time. There's no doubt about that. And I look at Anthony, and he's such a competitor, such a an honest and decent fighter. You just think to yourself, he'd had a bit more amateur experience. Where would he have been? It's a shame, really, that he's in that era with Beterbiev and also Bivol. And I've got to be honest, if Anthony had fought Bivol in his last fight, that would have been, for me, would have been an interesting fight, because Lyndon Arthur was there all the way through the fight, and I think that Anthony would have been a different proposition for him. But Anthony's there. He'll be fighting again on the 10th of February in the UK, and then after that we'll see what happens.
So Tyson, just over a month to go until the big one against Alexander Usyk. Joy Opetaia's heading out there to help him. Some southpaw sparring. What's the latest on Tyson?
He's sparring with the guys. They've been very tight-lipped to what's going on in the camp, to people. Moses is out there. Moses Tatumia, our young heavyweight. He's a southpaw also. He's out there working with him. He's working hard. As far as I know, he's working very hard, and we'll see what happens on the night. I mean, I'm really, really looking forward to the fight. It's going to be quite an interesting fight, especially after both of the boxers' last two performances.
People are very curious about the undercard for that, and for this as well, for Joshua and Ngannou. Is there anything you can tell us? I
can't at this moment, but they won't be disappointed, I promise you. They will not be disappointed. There's some cracking fights there. Cracking fights.
So domestically, you've been talking about another Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
The one in November, wasn't it? It was great.
I think that was the best domestic show in the UK last year. I really do. It's good fights, great. You know, everything about it was good. Some good performances, and we'll replicate that, I hope, in March. We're working on it, and we've got some good fights planned.
Hamza Shiraz, Liam Williams. That's the first fight night of the year. Shiraz, if he can get the win, Hamza, then he's well up there with the WBO. Is a world title fight in the offing if he gets that win?
He won't be far off. And if you look at it, you look at Hamza. I mean, his last fight, he beat an undefeated fighter on that undercard of the Dubois and Usyk, and he done it in one round. I mean, he beat a guy who's undefeated and never been stopped. Done a magnificent job, and he's in with a guy who's a tough competitor in Liam. Liam Williams comes to fight. We know he comes to fight, and for him, it's last chance saloon. So be giving everything that he's got against what we think's the new kid on the block.
So Gavin Gwynn gave up the British lightweight title, which means that Noakes and Sylvester can fight for that on February 10th as well. I mean, that's a really good fight.
That's a cracking fight. Yeah, that's done, and we're looking forward to that one.
And finally, prospects coming through this year. You know, you've got a lot of good fighters on the books. You've built a very solid stable over a period of time now. Is this as strong as you've had it for a while? Yeah,
they're all sort of coming through, and they're all various stages of their development, but a few of them will be ready to go. I think by the end of the year, a few of them will be fighting for world titles. But I mean, I don't want to leave anybody out because they'll get upset, so I'm going to do my best from the old geezer's brain. You go through, you've got Dennis McCann's being a good fight. He's lined up for a good fight. We've got Liam Davis who's coming through. We've got Mark Chamberlain, who we'll be announcing a good fight for. We've got Sam Noakes. I mean, all these guys are all coming through. We've got young Royston, who's going from strength to strength. Moses, who we talked about earlier. There's a whole raft of them. Nathan Heaney done so well for himself in beating Denzel Bentley. It's really exciting times. Zach Parker coming back, Joe Joyce coming back. And apologies to anybody I left out, but there's a lot going on, and I'm excited about it. And we've made some new signings as well, some young kids that we've signed up who I think they're going to be stars of the future too.